Tolderol Game Reserve is a protected area 75 kilometres south of Adelaide, comprising 428 hectares on the northwestern side of Lake Alexandrina at the start of the Coorong. It consists of a series of 17 ponds where the water level can be manipulated to provide a rich foraging habitat for migratory waders. There are extensive surrounding areas of samphire, reeds and sedges which support a variety of resident waterbirds and passerines. Large flocks of whiskered terns are common as they hunt over land and water for fish, frogs and insects. These are often mixed with flocks of larger crested terns. The largest tern found in Australia, Caspian tern, can be distinguished by its bright red beak and extensive wingspan. Walking along the levees surrounded by reeds, we can hear a male golden-headed cisticola in breeding plumage calling. In non-breeding plumage, the tail is longer and there are marked striations on the head when it resembles the female. Australian reed warbler is probably the most insistently heard of the waterside passerines. It's a breeding summer visitor to southern Australia. Australasian swamp hens are conspicuous and common. Farther along on the Mudflats, Australian spotted crake is busily feeding. Far more uncommon and secretive is Lewin's rail, which is likely to dash into cover if disturbed. It's easily distinguished from the other crakes and rails by its long, down-curved pinkish bill. We're searching for some rarities today, and large flocks need careful scanning. To make it harder, something has put up hundreds of ducks and terns. Possibly it was this swamp harrier, easily recognised by its white rump. They're always present here. Red-necked avocet is an unmistakable wader, an elegant, slender bird with a chestnut head and neck and delicate upswept bill through which it sieves its food, usually found in compact flocks which communicate with musical toots. Still scanning the large groups of crested Caspian and whiskered terns. Looks like the swans are doing some breeding too. Off to the corner of Pond 4. Red-kneed dotterels seem to be constantly chasing each other in territorial disputes. The incredibly long thin legs of white-headed stilt give it a frail appearance, but its persistent yapping alarm call is anything but weak. Almost the entire world population of sharp-tailed sandpiper, which breeds in northeast Siberia, migrates to Australia for the summer. Red-necked stint is also a common summer visitor and often feeds in flocks with the larger sharp-tailed sandpiper. We've found the smallest of the migrants, the uncommon long-toed stint, looking just like a miniature sharp-tailed sandpiper. Its legs are yellow, unlike the black legs of the red-necked stint, and it's usually alone. Also migrating from northern Siberia, the numbers of curlew sandpipers with a down-curved black bill and plainer back than sharpies have declined steeply in the last few decades. Here's a sandpiper which seems to prefer its own company, and sure enough it's not a sharpie, but pectoral sandpiper with a clear demarcation between its streaked breast and white belly, and a longer, more tapered bill. It's an uncommon species that we're keen to observe. Ouch! The ground is riddled with ants, which unfortunately I've forgotten while trying to stalk the flighty black-tailed native hens. Something has put up hundreds of ducks, mostly grey teal, with some pink ears and Pacific blacks. It's unusual to see so many birders here, but there's a twitch on for oriental pratincoll and other uncommon visitors. Ubiquitous noisy masked lapwings have been joined by banded lapwings, which usually stay farther inland, but in this very hot dry year they've come to the water to cool off. We're heading to the camping and picnic area, and on the way there's a beautiful male white-fronted chat. There are flocks of these all over the samphire, and another small colourful passerine. A long sinuous line of glossy ibis, smallest and most slender of the 3 ibis species. Their plumage is beautifully iridescent when illuminated by sunlight. Here's another migrant from Siberia which prefers to be solitary. A crested tern flies overhead with its harsh cries, and the crowds have moved on as we prepare for lunch by the shore of Lake Alexandrina. Driving back for another look at Pond 17 on the track through the reeds where Australasian bittern has been seen, but no luck. However, we do spot buff-banded rail. There are also brown quail, happily feeding on the track ahead of us, along with the hyperactive woolly wagtails, until they suddenly freeze and are gone. Swamp harrier again. We pass 2 birds that are often solitary feeders, white-faced heron and yellow-billed spoonbill. Feeding farther along is royal spoonbill with long breeding plumes on its nape. Tolderol has rich pickings for raptors. Overhead is whistling kite. And perched along the track, a dark bird that we're a little unsure about until it flies and reveals itself as a juvenile swamp harrier with a rufous rump and upswept wings. Feeding on thistles is goldfinch, an introduced species which does well in this area. We're still on the lookout for oriental pratincoll, and back at Pond 17 we found it, and the twitch is in full swing. In fact, there's a pair. This species rarely comes this far south, although very large numbers congregate in northwestern Australia. It's an amazing bird to watch in flight as it zigzags on long, slender, tern-like wings. However, this pair is content to loaf by the coolness of the water in the heat of the day, a treat for South Aussie birders. Time to head home, with raptors waiting at the periphery. This hobby has had success. In one of the surrounding irrigated paddocks, there's a flock of 200 Australian shelduck, a magnificent line-up in the golden evening light. And glancing up as we leave, we see the graceful soaring pelicans, the iconic species of the Coorong. It's been a great day spent in exploring this wonderful wetland. Let's hope the water continues to flow to preserve these birds.